Hi guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Coachman VIP 675. So starting off at the front, got your hitch head with silver lever. You have to have your silver lever up to wind the jockey wheel down onto your tow bar. That will then snap down, pushing up this red button, exposing the green rake. You've got your breakaway cable. With regards to your breakaway cable, if you've got an eye point, it has to be used. If not, just wrap it around the tow bar. Then got your handbrake here, jockey wheel and jockey wheel ties and adjust there. And then you do have 13-pin electrics, so if you do have 7-pin adaptation on your car, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. Inside this locker here, we have your gas locker. So you've got space for two 6-kilogram gas bottles and a little bit of extra storage for some smaller items. Then we have a gas hose connecting onto this regulator here. What you have to do is connect the gas hose on either side, hand tighten to an extent, and then just nip it up using a spanner, and then just twist in the positive direction, and that will feed gas through into the caravan. Coming round to the other side here, starting off first, we've got your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then we've got an aqua full of clean drinking water and your water pump just here. Water pump connects in by just pressing in. Then you can secure it into place by pressing down on that cap. It can't be removed. Got a plastic cup to go over the top of the aqua to make sure no nastiness gets in. Then at the bottom you have your strainer. Now it's very important that the strainer does sit at the bottom of the barrel, as otherwise you're just going to be gasping through air and you might get some coughs and splutters with your stream. Then you've got your battery locker here. That is where your battery would sit. Then you have your plug-in for your mains just there. Mains just plugs in, and then you've got a little bit of a cutout there for allowing the mains lead to come through. Motor mover we will go over on collection day. And then just here you've got two holes, and that is where your wastewater will come out of for both your shower and your sinks. You need some 28.5mm waste pipe to feed into a waste buster that you can then empty out on site. And lastly, we've got your toilet function. So below we have your cassette just here. To remove the cassette, press up on the orange handle, pull out just like so. However, you do have to make sure it's shut inside. Up on the orange handle, pull out just like so. Now you can also extend that out and pull it out to turn it into a little bit of a suitcase. Then once you're at your emptying point on site, twist that orange head to the side, open up your cap, then you want to tilt and vent at the same time. Then once you've done that, this is only a recommendation, slide this open here, open that up there, feed in some fresh water, give it a little bit of a shake, and again tilt and vent. Then on your cap here you have measurements in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes back onto the slot just there, twist that back to the side, push it in just like so. Then above you have your flap for your flush tank. The flush tank itself can hold around 12 litres of water, however you don't want to overfill it, so I'd recommend putting in about 10. You can also add a little bit of pink chemical, which works as a bleach without being corrosive and also makes it smell a bit nicer. Now you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so to fully empty this capacity here, just here, you've got a little bong, open that up and drain off any remaining water inside the system. The caravan itself will be fully drained before you leave. Then underneath your right hand side seat you have your boiler just here, and then you have these two yellow switch valves. Those are for your drain valves. when they're in the horizontal position as they are now. That's allowing the flow of water to come through. And then when you need to drain it, you flick them both up in the vertical position. Now, we will leave the caravan fully drained off, so with both of them in the vertical position. And then November to March, almost always have it up permanently, as otherwise there will be water inside the pipes which can freeze and burst. You then have these two silver boxes, which are your brain boxes for your motor mover. Then press in this button here, and you've got your trips and fuses. And then inside your book pack, there will be a little bit of information telling you which trip does what and what fuse does what as well. I'd always recommend for you to carry a few extra fuses with you on your journeys. Then just here, we have your main control panel, which essentially runs everything by your heating and hot water. You have your home interface, which is this, and then you can scroll through, get to settings, and then press onto this part. And there's a few additional parts just there. Then whatever you select, you go to the bottom and press save and exit. Internal temperature, which is currently 24 degrees. Leisure voltage, which is 13.7. Now that is the amount of power coming from the mains, as right now there isn't a leisure battery on board. Okay, you then have your water pump button just here. So water pump off, press it in again, water pump on. Okay, and that will kick in the actual water pump. Then you come over to your taps, open it up, and you get that nice, steady, continuous stream. When you first plug it in, I'd say wait 2 to 3 minutes just to let it flow through. And then once it's finished with that, come over, open up your taps and let it run for about 30 seconds. You then have internal lights, and then your awning light just here. Go outside, you can see awning light on just there. And then you have your main on and off switch just there. Super simple to use, up and down with those buttons. Water pump, back and select button, lights and awning light. Then we have your outer control panel, which turns on and off using this button here. And then you have this control interface, which first up shows the internal temperature of the caravan. You can see that right now it is 19.5 degrees and it is set to 30. Go up and down 0.5 using that button just there and that button there. Then we've got some settings just here. So we've got night mode, day mode, pump, delayed start, external start, sensor calibration, display, sound, language, service information, system configuration and reset. That is your additional settings. Now we have set this to the most simple user interface that there is. If you'd like to change it about or know what those bits mean, please have a look inside your book packs. Press menu again and it comes to this. So shows me the indoor temperature being 20, outdoor being 20. Then we've got the energy source. So this is what is using to actually heat up the caravan and the hot water. So you can either have 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of electric, strictly gas, or a mixture of gas, 1, 2 and 3. Now do be aware that some sites do not have the capacity for 3 kilowatts, especially if they're rather busy, so please check beforehand. Then you've got your hot water temperature, so you can either have it off, on, which will get the water temperature to about 40 degrees, or boost, which will boost the temperature of the water for 30 minutes, get it up to about 60, and then drop it back down to on, to essentially just save the water. So that's ideal if you're wanting to use a shower or something like that. But just quickly run through indoor temperature, outdoor temperature, energy sources. You can either use mains, gas or both, and hot water. Then when you turn it off, come up with that screen and it's no longer operating. Then just here we have your gas cooker, which works standard to any sort of gas cooker that you may have at home. You do have a light here for inside the grill and oven, and then you do have an electric plate on this model. For that one, just change it to whatever gas mark and it will get to that temperature. Everything else, it's a case of pressing the dial, twist it to the side and pressing your igniter. This is what it looks like when the hob's lit. As you can see, nice blue clean continuous flames. Turn that off. Then for the grill, you can see again, both sides nice and lit. And finally, the oven, which again, nice and lit. Only other real thing to note is don't put down this glass sheet until all of these are cold to the touch. Make sure you travel with that glass sheet down. When you first get plugged in with your gas, I'd say come over to the cooker and make sure it's the first thing you check. Then we have your fridge operation just here. So to turn this on, press and hold in on this button just here. It will flash up and go to its most recent memory, which in this case was gas. You've got 4 different sources that you can use. You can either use 13-pin electric for when you're plugged in with your car. Gas. Now with gas, you'll gradually hear it begin to tick in. Once it's finished ticking, that means it's lit. You've got mains, and you've got auto. Changing the mode using this mode button just here. Switch it over to auto, and you can see that auto chooses mains as the best source to use. Now when I press it again, it's going to go over to the battery symbol, and you can see it begins to flash up and beep at me. That means that there is a hazard. Then you've got your temperature gauge here. Goes 1 to 5 using this button just here. The thicker the bar, the more power coming into the fridge, the quicker it's going to chill. Does take around 4 hours for the fridge to fully chill. Turn it off, use that button again. Then lastly, we have your toilet operation, which is box simple. You've got a flush button just here, press it in, and you can hear that motor. That motor is what would push around any water inside your flush tank capacity. Then to empty your waste, press that handle away from you, opens up the cassette, pull it back and shuts it up, and allows you to actually remove the cassette toilet. Then once the cassette toilet is full, you'll have a red light come on underneath that icon, showing you that it is full.